Good evening, fellow St. Clementites. We have been listening to Grâce sous Grâce, which means grace on grace from a church in Haiti. I'm David Berry, your host. We welcome you to this special gathering to celebrate 12 years of partnership with the people of Verrettes, Haiti through Plant with Purpose. With our support, Verrettes residents have been working to improve their land and their lives. Before we begin, Rich Laffin will deliver a memorial for Kirsty Hibbard, a young Plant with Purpose staffer who tragically lost her life recently. Rich?
Yeah, thank you, David. Oops. Well, we'll go to this one. Yeah, we wanted to pause for a moment and remember Kirsty Hibbard, who died on the night of January 26th when a motorist sped through an intersection and struck her. She was just 28 years old. Kirsty was with Plant with Purpose for about 5.5 years. And as their director of communications and special events, she became our go-to person there. I like to think of Kirsty as that person you contact when you wanted to make something good happen in the world. She was known for her good humor, her indefatigable service, and for all people, really. None of us at St. Clement's got a chance to meet her personally, unfortunately. On the other hand, 2 years ago, Joy and Mark Stahura and Bert Purrington and I were to have joined her in Haiti on a mission trip, but due to events beyond our control, a snowstorm here in town, we couldn't make that trip. But she and we vowed to try to make it happen another day, and unfortunately, we'll never have that chance now. It dawns on me that sometimes probably members in our community wonder why it is that committee members have been so devoted to Plant with Purpose and to their mission in Haiti these past 12 years. And I think it's because of people like Kirsty, along with Doug and Milmer and Guy, who bring out the best of us and make us want to be the best people we can. If you have a minute after this evening, you might go to Plant with Purpose's website to learn a little bit more about Kirsty. If you go to the menu up at the top, you'll find a tab for our team, and you can go to Kirsty's bio from there. And if you do, you'll find out that her parents have asked that all donations in her name be used to plant trees around the world to benefit the working poor and to keep her alive for generations to come. David?
Thank you, Rich. Well, we began our partnership with Plant with Purpose 12 years ago when our then rector, Beth Royalty, urged us to consider how we might respond to our bishop's call to actively engage with the United Nations Millennium Development Goals, or MDGs, for improving the condition of humankind throughout the world. What a process we had. We heard personal stories from parishioners, we made individual financial commitments, and then, only then, we met on 3 Friday nights to decide which of the MDGs we felt most drawn to and where to devote our already committed resources to best promote those goals. What a resounding testament of faith in the process and in each other that we proceeded in this order. We discerned that we were most drawn to 3 of the 8 MDGs: eradicating extreme poverty and hunger, promoting gender equality and empowering women, and ensuring environmental sustainability. Among the candidates for an organization to support was one called Floresta, which Susan Gillette had discovered through online research. After a great deal of earnest and respectful discussion, we chose Floresta, now called Plant with Purpose, specifically its program in Haiti, recognizing its alignment with the goals we had chosen to focus on. Another factor in our choice was the opportunity for a relationship facilitated by the proximity of Haiti to the United States. Over the last 12 years, 14 of us have visited Verrettes in 6 different trips, not to work, but to observe and be in community with our partners. And many of you will remember the visit paid to us last year by Guy Parisson, Plant with Purpose Director of Haiti Programs. This is in addition to several visits to St. Clement's over the years by Plant with Purpose staffers Dave Mahar and Doug Satre. Through annual reports and through the visits in both directions, we have seen sustained work of Plant with Purpose in Fond Verrettes, the hundreds of miles of erosion barriers that have been built, the reclaimed hillsides that can be distinguished from others at a glance, the agroecology education provided to local farmers, and the many varieties of plants and fruit trees they cultivate. We have further witnessed the village savings and loans that have pooled money from members, a majority of whom are women, and turned it around into loans for members to purchase seeds for their farms, materials to start a business, or school uniforms for their children, in addition to providing funds for community projects or families in need and being a catalyst for strengthening the community. We have been moved by stories from farmers who are excited about the changes in their lives from employing agroforestry practices, and from women who have been empowered by their participation in the village savings and loans. We have been impressed by children running their own village savings and loans and doing their own tree grafting. And we have been blessed in relationship as we visit and pray for each other. Tonight, we present this Zoom gathering to further celebrate and strengthen our relationship with Fond Verrettes and to lift up the life-giving accomplishments of Fond Verrettes residents working with Plant with Purpose. We will hear from Doug Satre, Plant with Purpose Director of Strategic Partnerships, Guy Parisson, Plant with Purpose Director of Haiti Programs, from Milmer Martinez, Plant with Purpose Regional Partnership Manager for Latin America, and from the people of Fond Verrettes. And we will also have some time for questions. But before we start, I am pleased to announce a raffle for not one, but 2 Haitian dinners prepared by none other than Jan Frankman and Sherry Smith. These dinners will honor any dietary restrictions of the winners and will be delivered to your homes. If you would like to enter the contest, please so indicate via the chat box. Your name will be entered in the drawing and the winners will be announced when we conclude. We now welcome Doug Satre. Doug is an ordained Presbyterian minister who has been with Plant with Purpose for 13 years and, as I said, is currently its Director of Strategic Partnerships. He has visited us at St. Clement's 3 times. He is an avid birder. He and his wife, Catherine, live in San Diego and have 3 children. Doug will give us a broad picture of Plant with Purpose and will tell how the Haiti program fits into that picture. Doug?
Thank you so much, David. And it is really an honor to be here tonight and to see, to remember the history that we share and to see so many familiar faces that I've had a chance to meet, both at St. Clement's and also to travel with a number of you to Haiti. And really also want to say thank you again to Guy and Milmer for being here, and I'm really grateful that we'll be able to hear from them as well. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and just show some pictures, as David said, to give a little bit of an overview of kind of Plant with Purpose broadly, and then some of the history in Haiti and Fond Verrettes, and leaving plenty of time for Guy to also share, and then for Guy and Milmer to be able to do Q&A as well. So let me do this. Is that working?
Yep, we can see it.
Great. Okay, here we go. Does that look? You see St. Clement's and Plant with Purpose? Okay, great. Well, again, this evening is really about celebrating our partnership with each other, and most of all with the people of Fond Verrettes, and how we've been able to come alongside them and equip and empower them to really change their lives and the lives of their families and the life of their environment. So I wanted to start by hearing from them. And some of you who've been to Fond Verrettes remember Raymond Jean. He's one of our real leader local farmers there, and this is a greeting that he sent a few weeks ago that Guy provided. He says, I'm Raymond Jean, member of the group in Bob Barassa. Very proud today to say a big thank you to the St. Clement's Church because they have done so much for us. I have good success with yams, coffee, and I ask them to help us in prayer for more people in Haiti to become Floresta participants. And you can see from his testimony, that's one of the reasons why we've been growing so much, is because as people see the success that farmers have, they become sort of the evangelists for the activities and the teaching and the training and the involvement. And as Guy and Milmer can say, that's not always an easy thing, you know, that there's skepticism and there's challenges to overcome. And it's really when people see the success of farmers like Raymond that things really begin to take off. There we go. Here's another greeting which Guy provided for us recently. I'm Vaval Darius, member of the Non-Cot group. I say thank you to St. Clement's Church, and at the same time, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. I've been holding on to these for a couple weeks. I have a wood lot which has 150 trees, and it is thanks to Plant with Purpose. Help me in prayer to be able to do more, and may God continue to bless you. And then a third one, and a number of you I know have met Dula. She's, and I'm probably saying her name wrong, apologies, Dula Morissant, a member of the God community. And these are all communities in the Verrettes purview. I give a big thanks to St. Clement's Church for the great support that they give us in the community. I took this photo in the field named after them, which all of us who have traveled know that field. And it's also where Dan's ashes are scattered there, which is now growing a lot of trees thanks to their support. We ask them to keep supporting us in prayer as we are praying for them. So I wanted to put that up front to hear from them. So then just to back up a little bit, organizationally at a glance, I'm gonna try to move that. Plant with Purpose was founded as Floresta, originally in the Dominican Republic, and over the years we've expanded to work in 8 countries. Oops. So we're working in Haiti, Mexico, Dominican Republic, Tanzania, Burundi, Ethiopia, the Congo, and Thailand. And in terms of this kind of the scale of local partnerships, about 46,000 farming families, 1,800, it's amazing to see these numbers go up over time, 1,842 savings groups, 823 local church partners, and then 248 local staff. And for those of you who are maybe less familiar with our work, that having an all local staff is really just a real core value of ours, to build an organization, not to send expats, but to really build up local leadership capacity. So in Haiti, this is annoying. Oops, sorry. I don't know why that is up there, but I'll talk to top. All right. In Haiti, we were founded in 1997, and over time, the work has grown to now include 461 savings groups serving a total of 11,280 families with 97 church partnerships and 38 local staff. This is just to give you a bit of a geographic idea of where we work. It doesn't include the north of Haiti, which is up out of the picture, but here's the Verrettes watershed here. So you can see here's Port-au-Prince, and then to the east towards the Dominican Republic is the watershed, and the green dots are, and this is a little bit old, so there's probably many more green dots. Green dots represent savings groups, and I forget, Milmer, you have to maybe remind me later which ones are, some of these have graduated and I forget if it's blue or green.
The green dots are communities and the blue dots are graduated communities. So each green dot can contain multiple saving groups. Great.
Thanks, Milmer. I appreciate that a lot. So this is our kind of our mission statement of who we are. We are a Christian international development organization that reverses deforestation and poverty around the world by working to transform the lives of the rural poor, or to help them transform their own lives, better said, with God's help. This is a picture that many have seen kind of versions of before, the border of Haiti and the Dominican Republic. And Haiti is typical of really all the countries where we work. We focus on rural areas where farmers are having to feed themselves only with their own resources. They're often left with the most marginal land, and as they work that land to feed their families, they're often caught in a vicious cycle of poverty, which leads to things like cutting wood for charcoal or firewood, which leads to later to greater land degradation, forced migration, and many problems that go with that. This is a picture of part of the area where many of us have driven up through Verrettes. This is some of the flooding that killed many hundreds of people and devastated much of Verrettes. I forget the year exactly, but and it was directly a result of the deforestation that had happened upstream that this flooding came down and took so many lives. And you can see the roofs of some of the buildings that are underwater there. And it was part of the impetus for us to work in Verrettes, was recognizing just the critical, just the real crisis in this area, both on the Haiti side and on the Dominican side, where communities on both sides of the border lost many hundreds and even thousands of lives. So we talk about this vicious cycle of poverty and deforestation, soil loss, contamination of water, leading to greater poverty. And this is the cycle that we seek to break. And I would say, it's not so much, it's what we do, but it's also the approach that we work towards sustainable long-term solutions. This is a picture from Oaxaca, Mexico. We work more and more at the watershed level to understand the larger ecology where people are living, biodiversity, as Milmer mentioned, and really work to empower communities to develop their God-given gifts, talents, abilities, and prioritize and solve the problems that they recognize, and we come alongside with our skill set to do that, focusing on teaching and training, requiring and promoting local investment of time and resources, and local leadership, as I mentioned. So we talk about, you've probably seen this before, this kind of intersection of holistic transformation and this is the center of, though we have programs that might be categorized in each of these three areas, we're always really aiming for the heart of where these three intersect is really the heart of our work. So I wanted to give a big shout out here to Ketty. Many of you who have either been praying for her or have met her. She's one of our key local agronomists in the Verrettes area. She has been quite sick, and Guy, maybe later you can give us an update of how she's doing. But she's just an example, as is Guy, of the wonderful, very effective and long-serving local team.
I'll get your computer.
Thanks.
So David mentioned the Village Savings and Loan Associations, and just to say very quickly, this has become, over the last 10 years or so, really a foundational aspect of our work. This is a group in the country of Burundi, but these are the groups where people gather together to save their own money, and then out of their savings are able to access loans to be able to start a small business or to expand their farm or make household improvements. And this group also just becomes the platform for relational healing, for building trust, for teaching and training, for experimentation. And I was actually in this meeting when this picture was taken, and our director leaned over and he said, you kind of reminded me, we opened in prayer and we closed in prayer. And he said, there was a Protestant who opened and there was a Catholic who closed. That never happens here. Like that's just even something like that we might not even think about. And then Burundi has also had Hutu and Tutsi, mutual, really just massacres. And so, but even in a place where this isn't so much the issue, there's a process of building trust and building relationships and praying for each other that is really critical to the activities. It's really foundational to the activities. Here is an example of one in Haiti, and I thought I'd include this because it shows the COVID adaptation that we're also doing. You can see everyone's wearing masks and they're socially distanced, and this kind of adjustment has enabled many of the activities to continue. So this is just one kind of gives you a little idea of that. This is the savings group or the savings book that everyone has that records their individual savings. So savings is individual, but there's a collective loan component that people can access. And so the total savings is now approaching $2 million, and it's amazing to think how it's grown and what that's been able to do. So out of that is new businesses. I'm sure this was taken on a visit that we did together, and this is Diula and her husband with the rabbit business. And as you can imagine, rabbits multiply, and that's a great business model. So, and the droppings fertilize the garden, and it's just a great thing. So there's many things like this: chicken projects, bakeries, wood saving stoves, vegetables, and the savings groups are really the incubator for many of these ideas. And then, of course, a critical aspect of that is environmental restoration. And this is a picture, I believe, in Verrettes, certainly in Haiti, where it gives you an idea of before and after. And on the one side of your screen, you could see that's kind of a typical Haitian farm where they're maybe doing beans or peas. And then on the other side is an agroforestry plot where you have just a wide variety of things happening. There's soil conservation, there are trees growing, there are crops growing. The soil conservation barriers also serve to feed the animals, and it's just this very rich, and as Milmer and Guy could say, also incredibly, you can imagine how much more biodiversity you have in a plot like that compared to the one on the other side. Soil conservation barriers, rock walls is also a big part of what we do. And here's a group that is building, we take turns building on each other's farms to conserve the soil, and then trees are planted to enhance that, and then crops as well. This, I believe, was a picture from our very first visit to Verrettes from the St. Clement's farm, and you can just see how steep it is, and imagine when there's absolutely no soil conservation happening there, what happens, and you can see everything that's white or pink there is bare limestone, and the soil is just mostly gone. But thankfully, it really doesn't take that long for it to recover when you have walls and everything else in place, that the fertility returns rapidly. So I love this picture also from Haiti of a papaya tree before and after, and just see quite a difference there. And then again, as we mentioned, watershed mapping, more and more working to help communities as well as ourselves understand the larger ecology of what happens in a watershed. This is another picture that we use quite a bit that shows sort of the before and after, and on the bottom you have bare soil, extensive runoff, flooding, dry wells, and on the top you have a much more, when the soil is protected and there's trees, a variety of crops, the water table is healthy, the wells run, the flooding is prevented, and you have rivers and springs that are available year-round for water. And then just coming to the end here, spiritual renewal. I would say the spiritual aspect of what we do, it permeates everything in terms of the teaching for respect for God's creation, for respect for each other, for healthy and whole relationships. But we're also very focused on empowering the local church through Bible studies, through leadership training. So here's Guy with one of the churches in Verrettes, and we aim to work ourselves out of a role, out of a job in these communities, but we know the church will be there. And so part of our methodology is to leave behind a strengthened, equipped church that is focused on not just serving themselves, but serving the larger community and is engaged with the needs of the community. And it's been exciting to see that to happen. And also, I would say, a big part of the spiritual renewal is to help people gain a deeper and deeper appreciation for what God has given them, to not just say focus on what they may not have, but what they have, and to see the spiritual value of work. We talk a lot about theology of work, And for many people, this is a very new idea that they can serve God as a farmer, that farming is a vocation that is God honoring and is valuable socially, which is often not what they're told in their country. So that's an important aspect of what we do. And then lastly, just some of the statistics. We do an impact evaluation every 3 years. And so these are some, and we're just finishing the most recent one, so we'll have some new numbers soon, but dramatic reduction in level of poverty, producing 44% more food. And again, this next one is really a measurement of empowerment. They're 64% more likely to say that they can improve their lives. And then as we were talking about theology of work, 38% more likely to say that their work is a good use of their talents. And they're 20% more active in serving their neighbors. So these are some of the things we're trying to measure to see where we can improve and where we're seeing success. So with that, I will hand it over to Guy. And Guy, you just tell me when you want. Here, I think I'll keep sharing my screen since I have Guy's slides. And Guy, this is in the pine forest right behind in Verrettes, I should say as well. Very close to in our program area. And Guy, just tell me when you'd like me to advance the slide.
When you want to do it. If you want to do it, what now? Yeah, I'm ready.
Sorry, yeah, it's your turn, Guy. So tell me, share with us the things that you sent me. Starting with maybe this one.
Okay, yeah. Like as they said, Convert is not far from Port-au-Prince. You know, it's less than 50 kilometers. But because of the conditions of the road, sometimes you could take more than 2 hours and a half, you know, to get there. Verrettes is in the West Department and Haiti, in the east of Port-au-Prince, the capital. The surface is about 288 square kilometers. The altitude is about 2,135 feet. The population is about 50,000 inhabitants. The majority of the people, of the population, are farmers, and the Truth Purpose is currently working with about 3,700 families, and they form between them about 149 VSLA. We have started to work in Verrettes in 2006, September 2006. But I would like just to present you a balance of certain activities during the last 5 years. I mean, 2016 to 2020. During the 5 years, we are planting about 304,000 trees, and we have formatted about 82 VSLA. We have partnered with 17 churches, and also we have built about 268 miles of anti-erosive barriers. And for this year, for the fiscal year 2021, June 20, July 20, and June 21, we are planning to plant about 130 10,000 trees. We want to also promote 31 Versailles group, new Versailles group, and want to partner with two churches, new churches, and build 81 miles of anti-erosion barriers. Okay. And I could say during the two first quarters, we have already planted 89,874 trees from July until December. And also, we have formed 13 Versailles. And also, we have already established about 80,165 kilometers of anti-erosion barrier.
So Guy,
yeah.
Just to clarify, so that means the midway point of the year that we are ahead of the schedule for all three of these areas, or all four of these areas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And something else to point out. Remember that we had to adjust our activities due to COVID restrictions and all the sanitations that the sanitary protocol that we wanted to follow and promote. So this is a testament of that empowering capacity of the local teams to the local communities to be able to carry out the activities. So anyway, just something to point that out.
Yeah, right.
All right.
Exactly.
Messed up. There we go.
Yeah. And I have to say also, we are facing, with many challenges since about 1 year. One of them is, like I said, is COVID-19, and the other one is insecurity and the main road from Port-au-Prince to Verrettes. Just on the flatland before reaching the mountain, there is, I could say, there is a group of, I could say, gangsters. Sometimes they kidnap people, and also sometimes they rob the sharks. People from Verrettes to Port-au-Prince when they get back, or when they go to Port-au-Prince to buy something or to sell something, and sometimes they rob the people on the road. But it's why right now we are trying to adopt some strategy so that the technicians, they could spend more time and Verrettes, instead of travel every week to go to Port-au-Prince to see their family. But our perspective, for this year, for this, I could say the next fiscal year is July 21 and until June 22. We are planning to plant 120,000 forest and fruit trees. And also we plan to promote 20 new Versailles. We plan to partner with 2 new churches to continue to teach them. And we plan to build also 94 miles of anti-erosion barriers. And also, I would like to explain since August, we have I could say, some trouble with our budget in Haiti, because there is a kind of appreciation of the local currency in comparison with the US dollar. I could say right now, the local currency has more value than the US dollar, in comparison before the fiscal year. Because of that, we we are facing with some problem to buy some goods, or because even the value of the dollar is decreased, the local currency, I guess the value increased, but the price of the goods stay stable, but no change. But most of we sometimes we I could say we have short of money to buy something. For example, to buy gasoline, to buy plastic bags for the nurseries, because we spend more, dollar to buy more less goods. It's why to face to that problem, we we plan to adjust, our current budget. The budget for Verrettes was 85,000 US dollars. Right now, because of the adjustment, we forecast the amount would be maybe 115,000. Because I could see the power of purchase of our employees, decrease considerably. It's why we want also to take in account the salary, to increase the salary of our staff, just to face to the cost of living. It's a little bit our perspective for 2022. Thank
Also,
you.
some uncertainty in terms of how long that situation may last too, Hungy.
Yeah. Until now, there are some small, I could say, improvement, but it's not too high. I think in August, the dollar was about 60 good for $1. Right now, it's about 72 goods for $1. But our budget, we plan our budget with 106 good for $1.
So Guy, and Milmer, this might be just a good example to illustrate how we work together as one organization. And my understanding, and I hope I'm not guessing wrong, but I believe my understanding is that Verrettes de Haiti has had some reserves and we have had some reserves. And so we are kind of working together to bridge that gap, to kind of share the responsibility to make sure that we're able to help our team.
Correct.
Yeah.
I mean, there's many strategies there. I mean, we've been following this situation very closely. We understand the impact that it can have to our work and operations, but we, both Verrettes de Haiti and Plan with Purpose all together as one, we remain committed towards our participants as well as our employees. So the idea is to not compromise in the quality of our service and to find the better way to become more optimal in the use of our resources, but at the same time, find ways still meet our objectives at the end. And so so we're working on this, we're following closely. So yes.
I think I want to keep us moving here because I want to make sure we have time for some questions. And I think what's next is the church singing. Let's see. It is. So Guy, can you tell us a little bit about this church, and then then hopefully I can play the video.
Yeah, it is one of the church partners we are working in Verrettes. It is in the community Yati. Yati community just is on Verrettes, is on the road from Verrettes to the pine forest.
Okay.
You know, the name of the church is in French, Église Mouvement Missionnaire Mondial, is the World Missionary Movement Church.
Okay.
But
Right.
they have about 4 Versailles group in the church.
In the church.
You know? Yeah,
Wow.
about 100 people in the church. You know, are practicing Versailles
Wow.
methodology.
Okay.
Yeah, and also I think they were in a Bible reflection meeting. You know, where they
Sorry.
study together. They are in a Bible
Bible study as well.
meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, I'm going to play it for us. Some of you might recognize this song.
Clement et de nous prier parce que la pluie pas tombée dans la communauté Haiti côté nous situés et nous demandons pour Clement et de nous prier pour bon Dieu capable de voir la pluie pour nous juste pour nous petits plants pour nous et puis pour nourrir jardin nous tout. Merci encore. Papa nous dit dans le ciel là nous vous merci nous commençons dans le nord nous terminons dans le nord et on dit que c'est difficile c'est Amen.
Amen. Guy, can you translate the greeting for us?
They want people from St. Clement Church pray for them because there are some drought and poverty, lack
Some
of
drugs.
they want you pray for them so that they could have well. Yeah.
Thank
The
you,
song,
Guy.
the title of the song was Jesus is Great.
There are droughts in some for Verrettes. It's been a prolonged drought and very poor rain. So yes.
Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think now we have some time for questions. And David, you can rein us in because I know that we're maybe a little over time, but David, I'll hand it back to you to facilitate however you want to handle questions for Guy or Milmer or myself. I think we have a couple minutes for that.
Okay, yes, we do. So anybody who has a question, please submit your question via chat, or if you want to just raise your hand and speak, I think we could handle that too. Let me just scan the chat here and see if there are any questions coming in. I don't see any so far. Okay, there's a question from Ron Brand. What is going on in the photo of the kids with the small trees?
Yeah, so this is well, Guy, you can share. Tell us about this picture.
Yeah, we are also working with some schools in Verrettes where we are trying to teach agroecology techniques with children in the school. But sometimes they also themselves they participate, in the tree nursery, to plant trees, and also they go and they farm also to plant trees. Sometimes and their family farm to plant trees. We teach some techniques to them. some grafting techniques, nursery techniques, tree planting techniques.
Thank you. Let me see here if I can find another question. I think there was one, yes, from Rich and Susan. How has COVID changed the way the small businesses have been able to work?
Yeah, at the beginning of COVID last year, people were very scared, about COVID because they thought that many people will be affected in it. But they, because of less, movement of people in their country, during the first 2 months, they got some trouble. But after 2 or 3 months, people are still safe in Verrettes and also in all the communities where we are working. And I could say they start again, to do business, to continue the normal activities and respecting, some principle like social distance, also some of them they wear masks, even in the meeting they wear masks. But yeah, after 3 months after COVID, after March, but the situation is, I could say stable, and Haiti, but not too big, impact on their business and also on their agricultural activity. And also only now there is any partners, any farmer partners, and affected by COVID-19.
Yeah, we haven't heard about anyone within our participants with that have gotten sick, that have gotten COVID. So it seems to be working. This is a follow-up question to Guy. In Mexico and the Dominican Republic, what we observed within this situation was that small markets, small local markets that had been closed for bigger ones further away, started to reopen. So did we observe that in Haiti, Guy? Like the little markets, more business within, more localized.
Yeah, the market, were never closed, but they still open, at the beginning of the COVID, all the people in the market, in some market, even in the public transportation, they wore some masks, but right now, it's almost normal. All the people in the market, even in the public transportation, they didn't wear a mask, but only in some public administration and some offices and also in the supermarket, you need to wear a mask to get it. But I could say people are right now very, very careless about COVID-19. Because until now, only 145 people died. 245 people died in COVID in Haiti. It's about 10 or 11,000 people affected, by COVID in Haiti. But in the area we are working, I never heard about the people, infected by COVID-19. And also our staff, they are safe also, free of COVID until now.
Okay. There's also a question from Rich and Susan. Let's see. How are you incorporating projections of climate change within the long-term planning, 5-10 years, and will the ways we work together need to change?
Our perspective is continue, to train, to motivate, the farmers to plant more trees and also to preserve the trees that they have. It's a strategy, because train people, more people, and also partner with other organizations. And also one of good news, last week, 2 weeks ago, Flores Haiti, Plant with Purpose, signed an agreement with the Ministry of Environment so that we could partner together to work together.
So, something else that I might add.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Oh,
Something else that I might add
ahead.
that sometimes is difficult to see when you're in front of the problem. I mean, we in Haiti or in the DR in Mexico, we've been dealing with weather changing, with certain cultivars or certain crops that are not working now that were working before. So the farmers and our teams are very good at trying new things as they happen. So even before we were talking about climate change, and we're seeing climate change. So farmers have been adapting, right, with different varieties, cultivars, and things. And among the seeds that people use are seeds that are heirloom seeds that have been there forever, that have the ability to adapt. So in Haiti, as I said, in our programs, they've had that ability to plant and to try things as they happen. And the structure of the program allows them to try new things in a controlled environment through farmer field schools, and then them taking it to the farm. So as again, is much more pragmatic and practical and everyday thing, because you're dealing with it every day as it happens. For example, right now we have more droughts in Verrettes, right? More droughts, more prolonged droughts. So only the things that really have the genetic makeup to make it are the ones that we're planting, that we're keeping up with. So anyway, and again, as Guy said, part of that is much more is the idea of having that microclimate resilience with more of an agroforestry and very multi-level, multi-species agroforestry design.
Yeah, it's another thing also we teach, for example, with the backyard garden. We try to test, some new products, some new culture that they do not have to do in the area. For example, right now in Verrettes, people start to plant more pepper. They didn't used to do that before, but what now? Because but the pepper could get small with the dot, with the smart with the dot, but it's they diversify the crops so that to face to the climate change.
Thank you. Joy was reminding me there was a question about how Ketty Alexander is doing. Can you speak to that?
Yeah.
Pardon?
How is Ketty's health?
Oh, okay. So, yeah. It's very hard to say. Finally, Ketty has decided, to resign because she's still in the United States for treatment. But she's doing well. She's doing well. I think maybe last week or a couple of weeks. Last week, I think she started with, I could say some, I'll say that, chemotherapy. There are some chemotherapy. Chemotherapy last week. But she's doing well right now. She's not too bad. Yeah, she got about two surgeries, but they were successful. She's okay. But what now? I think she's in New York with some relatives.
Thank you. We have a question from Mark Stahura. Have the burglars interrupted the delivery of supplies to Fond Verrette?
Yeah, but right now, the staff, they travel less. Most of the time, they use public transportation. It's more secure, when we travel in public transportation and the big truck. We bought the articles and polymers, and we use public transportation to deliver and forward it. But there is no problem, to buy things, to transport them and forward it. But only we have limited the movement of people. But for the goods, no problem.
And you're using public transportation because it's safer than the private vehicles for the bandits. Is that
right?
Numbers,
yes, exactly.
Well, I want to be respectful of people's time here. It's already 9 o'clock, and there are some more questions there, but I think we should probably move along here. Thank you for the questions. They are all good questions. It's too bad that we couldn't get to all of them, but it's now time to announce the winners of the Haitian dinner raffle. And so I would like to turn it over to Jan Frankman and Phil Bradley to announce the names of the lucky ones. Jan and Phil. Are you on mute?
What?
Maybe we'll just have to wait for them to come in.
I think she tried to unmute it just when I get asked to unmute. So here she is.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, okay.
You can hear me? Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. And Phil's here. Show your pretty face. Here he is.
Okay.
My partner.
All right. My day is
Okay,
complete. I've seen Phil.
Yeah. Okay. So it's last call. When I saw names without a question, I assumed that was a request to be included in the raffle. Would somebody go, yes, no?
Let's say yes.
Yes, okay. So here they are. Phil has not seen these. Here they are. Could you pick up the box? Pick up the box. Okay. And you couldn't see our pretty decorations here, but here they are. And I'm dropping these in and folding them over. And if the winners would share your preferred contact information so that Sherry and I can follow up with you, it would be really helpful. So you can do that through chat, or you might look in the St. Clement's directory. So, okay, here's one. Okay, Sally and Ham.
Yay.
You don't have to cook. And here's the second one, Liz Bryan and Al McVeigh. So there you go.
Yay.
If you're odds makers, just let me tell you the odds are really. Okay, well, thanks for participating. And it was a great program.
Well,
it's great to see Guy and
I have to say, thank you very much to Jan and Sherry for cooking these meals. I'm sure they'll be wonderful. And while we're in the business of saying thank you, I'd like to say thank you to Guy and to Doug and to Milmer for your excellent presentations tonight. And the evening would not be complete without saying thank you to Joy. Joy, it has been wonderful to have your thorough and enthusiastic support for this effort. And much of our success is attributable to you, and you're continuing in the footsteps of Beth Royalty in that regard, who was also an enthusiastic supporter. So Thank you very much. Well,
Thank you, David. And it's such an amazing ministry. Thanks.
And a thank you for Mark Stahura for putting this all together technically. Mark, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mark. So with that, unless I'm missing something, I think it's time to sign off. My sisters will get that joke. Our father used to say that to conclude long distance phone conversations, but we will say good evening with more of Grâce sous Grâce. Thank you and good night, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Frappez mais on constate là. Bam bon petit volume parce que m'da remè peuple là. C'est ça. Oche mi bon Dieu béni nous oche yo. C'est ça. Mais on a dans des musiques là nous content ouais yo. Somme 139 verset 16. Parole bon Dieu déclarée. Tout ça ouais mi et jodi a nan plan bon Dieu m'te doué comme ça. L'homme frappé créateur frappé l'estomac yo dit c'est yo même. Mais bagay yo pas comprendre pas la vie m'te déjà tracée. Tout ça c'est grâce. Tout ça c'est grâce. Pas ça bien grâce bon Dieu. Tout ça c'est grâce grâce bon Dieu fait. C'est grâce grâce bon Dieu fait. Tout ça c'est grâce, tout ça c'est grâce, grâce mon Dieu. Tout ça c'est grâce, grâce mon Dieu fait. L'homme tellement sans comprendre, il parle sans réfléchir. Et il pas même pour dire que ou pas qu'il doit jamais rien. Mais non, dit tout c'est clair, mon Dieu les fait, on en finit. La honte fait à macheti, c'est non.
All right, folks. Sorry I cut that off a little prematurely, but it was a slip of the mouse here. We can go back to it if you'd like. Thanks much.
Thank you, everybody, and good night.
Thanks, David.
Thanks, David. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Thanks,
Good night.
everyone.
Thanks, Joe.
Good night.
Thanks, Doug. Nice to see you.
Warm weather.
Okay, God bless you.
Thank you, Doug. Thank you, Wilmer. Thank you, Guy.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay, thank you.
Bonsoir, Guy.
Bonsoir.
Bonsoir, Guy.
Bonsoir.
Okay, thank you again. We'll talk.